Your sister deserves this vacation more than we need a baby, my husband said over the phone. His voice tried to sound sure, but I could tell he was nervous. I've already moved our IVF savings to her account. I stood in our kitchen, holding the counter as I tried to understand his words. The $45,000 we had saved for 3 years, the money that was our hope for a baby, was now given to his sister Emma so she could take a fancy trip around Europe. Great, I answered calmly. Thanks for telling me. There was a pause on the phone. David, my husband, expected me to cry or get angry like before, but instead, I stayed calm. Olivia, he began in a slightly condescending tone that he had used many times over our 8 years of marriage. Emma went through a bad divorce. She really needs this break. We can always save up again for IVF. You're only 34, so there's plenty of time. I looked down at the papers on the counter, documents my doctor had given me just 2 weeks ago. They proved David's words about having plenty of time were wrong. Instead, they made his betrayal even more painful. You're right, I said, surprised at how easily the lie came out. Emma deserves this. I hope she enjoys her trip. Really? David sounded unsure. All right then, no arguing. I have to go. I'm late for my shift at the hospital, I said, ending the call before my hands could start shaking too much. As a pediatric nurse, I was used to keeping calm in emergencies. Now, that calm was the only thing keeping me together. 2 weeks earlier, my doctor had told me privately that my fertility was getting worse. If we want to conceive with IVF, we must act within the next 3 months. After that, my chances drop a lot. I hadn't told David yet. I waited for the right moment while planning and saving. Now, his actions made it clear that I was right to keep quiet. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "OM sis, David told me what he did. You're the best for understanding. Can't wait to post pics from Paris. Love you." I stared at the message. I remembered how Emma always competed with me for David's time and money, how every emergency she had made David choose her over our plans. My hand stopped shaking as I realized that years of being second to Emma had led to this moment. I opened our joint bank account on my laptop. As expected, David had emptied it that morning by transferring our savings to Emma's account, but what he didn't know was that I had expected this. 6 months ago, after Emma's divorce, I noticed how she looked at our money. I started saving my own extra money in a separate bank account. Every extra shift and bonus over the past 6 months went there instead of our joint account. I even sold some of my old jewelry that David never cared about. Now, the joint account that David had emptied contained only the money he really thought was the IVF fund, while my separate account held all the money I had saved for the real treatment, along with proof of everything I had contributed over the years. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from Dr. Torres, my fertility specialist. Appointment confirmed for next week. All paperwork ready as discussed. Taking a deep breath, I gathered my things. After 8 years of marriage, I had learned enough about David and Emma's behavior. Now was the time to act. At the hospital, my colleague Sarah noticed something was off. "Olivia, are you okay? You seem distracted." I managed a small smile and told her about David giving our IVF savings to Emma for her vacation. Sarah showed a mix of shock, anger, and understanding. She was one of the few who knew about my separate account and backup plans. "So it happened," she said quietly, pulling me aside in the break room. "What are you going to do?" I showed her the email I had received from my lawyer that morning. "Remember Jake Harrison, the attorney whose daughter I helped last year?" I asked. Sarah nodded. "He will take my case without charging anything," I confirmed, "with all the proof I have, including what happened today. We have a strong case against David for mishandling our money." "Does David know you've been tracking everything?" Sarah asked. I shook my head. He never paid attention. He was too busy managing Emma's needs to notice what was happening at home. My phone buzzed with another text from Emma. "Just booked first-class tickets. This is going to be amazing. Thanks again for understanding." Sarah looked over my shoulder and sighed. "She's really rubbing it in, isn't she?" "Let her," I replied calmly. "Every message and every post is just more evidence." During lunch, I called Dr. Torres to confirm our plans. As one of the best fertility doctors in the state, she had connections with clinics that offered special financing. "With your separate savings and our clinics program, we can go ahead with IVF as planned. Are you sure you want to do this on your own?" she asked gently. "I'm sure," I said. "I've spent 8 years waiting for David to put our family first. I'm done waiting." That evening, when I returned home, David was there waiting. He had that same look, one that said Emma had convinced him that I was being unreasonable. Emma's so excited about the trip, he began, as if we were talking about dinner plans. She's already planned everything: Paris, Rome, Barcelona. Sounds wonderful, I replied while going to the kitchen to start dinner. I'm sure she'll have an amazing time, he added, surprised that I stayed calm. I know you're really upset deep down, but Emma needs this after her divorce, David interrupted, looking at me. I said it was fine. What else do you want? He stammered, clearly unprepared for the calm, composed side of me. I just want you to understand, he tried. I understand perfectly, I said quietly. Now I have an early shift tomorrow, so I'm off to bed. Later that night, as I lay in bed listening to David watch TV downstairs, I thought about my appointment with Jake Harrison the next day and the file of evidence I had collected about our IVF savings. David had made his choice, now it was my turn to decide. My phone lit up with one last text from Emma. Just bought the cutest outfits for my trip. Can't wait to post all the pics. You're seriously the best sister-in-law ever. I smiled in the darkness, realizing how the situation was turning against Emma. Tomorrow would be the first step toward my new future, whether with or without David. I was going to have the family I always dreamed of, and no one, not even his sister, would stop me. The next morning, I met with Jake Harrison in his downtown office. The room was friendly and professional, much like Jake himself. He spread out all the documents I provided on his desk and said, "This is very detailed. Most people don't keep track of every cent like you do. 8 years of watching our savings vanish into Emma's emergencies taught you to keep receipts." I replied, and Jake leaned back seriously. "The transfer to Emma's account yesterday is our smoking gun. It shows a clear pattern of financial misconduct and misuse of our money." I showed him screenshots of Emma's social media posts, designer shopping, first-class tickets, and luxury hotel bookings, all paid for with our IVF savings. "She is not hiding anything," Jake said. "It works in our favor. Have you told David about your medical situation?" I shook my head. "Not yet. I wanted to be sure my plan was in place first." "Smart," he replied. "Because of your urgent medical need, and the fact that he gave away money saved for treatment, we can ask for an emergency hearing." My phone buzzed with a text from David. "Emma's so happy. I knew you'd understand once you had some time to think. You're amazing, babe." I showed the text to Jake. "He's actually helping our case without knowing it," he noted. "Does he know you're here?" "No," I said. "He thinks I'm at work. I took a personal day." Jake gathered all the papers into a folder and said, "I want to file everything today. Once we do this, there's no turning back." He asked if I was ready for what was coming next. I thought about all the years I had put aside my own dreams while David always chose Emma. "I'm ready," I said. That afternoon, while David was at work, I went to the bank and closed our joint credit cards. Jake had advised me to protect my money before filing the papers. I also withdrew my share of the remaining money, leaving about $3,000 that Emma hadn't managed to touch. When I got home, I found a package on the doorstep. Inside was a framed photo of Emma with a note, "For your living room, so you can see how well the money was spent. Love you." What once hurt me now made me more determined. While I was preparing dinner, David came home whistling. He paused when he saw me setting the table for one. "Where's my plate?" he asked, confused. "I think you should eat at Emma's tonight," I said evenly. "She probably wants to show you her new purchases." Are you angry?" he asked, clearly puzzled. "I thought you were okay with this." "I'm not angry, David, I'm done," I said, placing a manila envelope on the table. "You've been served." His face went from confusion to shock as he opened the envelope. "Divorce papers? Is this really happening, over Emma's vacation?" "No," I said calmly. "It's about 8 years of watching you choose your sister over our marriage. The vacation fund was just the last straw." "You're overreacting," he sputtered. "We can save for IVF again." "Actually, we can't." I handed him the medical documents I had kept hidden. "I needed that treatment within the next 3 months, and I'm still getting it. Just not with you." His face went pale as he read the doctor's report. "Why didn't you tell me? Would it have made a difference?" he asked. "Would you have ever said no to Emma?" His silence said it all. "I have an IVF appointment next month," I told him. "I'm doing it on my own with my own money that you and Emma can't take. You should start looking for another place to live. Your sister has plenty of room." "Olivia, please," he pleaded, but I cut him off. "Check your credit cards before you leave, they're closed. Don't even look at the joint account. I withdrew my share. You can keep the rest, though I suspect Emma already has plans for it." David stood there, stunned and speechless, and I felt a weight leave my shoulders. 8 years of compromise, of watching my dreams fade, were finally over. My new beginning was just around the corner. 2 months later, I sat in Dr. Torres's office, staring at the ultrasound screen with tears in my eyes. Against all odds, the first round of IVF has worked. I am pregnant. Congratulations, said Dr. Torres with a warm smile. Your numbers look excellent. Your careful planning paid off. As I left the clinic, holding my ultrasound pictures tightly, my phone buzzed with a text from my lawyer. The final divorce hearing was set for next week. Meanwhile, Emma's vacation posts had become valuable evidence. Her European adventure, with posts of designer shopping, luxury hotels, and champagne-filled yacht parties, clearly showed where our IVF savings had gone. At the divorce mediation, David tried to justify his actions. Emma needed this break, he said, insisting it was for her mental health. The mediator was not impressed, especially when they saw Emma's social media. Mental health? This looks like reckless spending of money saved for urgent medical treatment. I moved into a new apartment, a small but comfortable place near the hospital where I worked. Outside, Sarah was waiting with a care package. So? She asked as I walked up. I handed her the ultrasound photo. I'm going to be an aunt, she cheered, hugging me. Have you told anyone? Just you, I answered. I'll wait until after the divorce is final. Later, over tea, Sarah filled me in on the latest news. Emma had returned from Europe to find her finances in trouble. The trip had drained not only our money but her own savings as well. She tried to ask David for more money, Sarah explained, but his accounts are frozen pending the divorce settlement. I sipped my tea and thought about the irony. How did he handle it? From what I heard, for the first time he said no to her. The day of the final hearing arrived. I dressed in a simple navy suit, my small baby bump just visible under the jacket. David and Emma were there too, looking less polished than in their social media posts. Emma's fancy vacation clothes couldn't hide her nervous eyes as our lawyer showed the financial evidence. The judge focused on how the money was taken at a critical time for my treatment. Mr. Mitchell, the judge said, you deliberately misused funds saved for urgent medical treatment by giving them to your sister for a luxury vacation. Do you understand how serious this is? David replied softly, I didn't know it was so urgent because you never asked. You never cared about anything except Emma, I said. The judge's decision was clear. Because of the documented financial misconduct and my urgent medical needs, I was awarded a large share of our assets. Emma was ordered to repay her share, though we all knew that might never happen. As we left the courthouse, David tried to speak to me one last time. Olivia, he said softly, I'm sorry, I now know what I did was wrong. Maybe we could. I turned to him, my hand resting on my stomach. His eyes widened when he saw it. You? Yes, I said simply. I am, and this baby will grow up knowing it was always wanted, planned, and chosen first. I walked away without looking back, leaving David and Emma behind. 6 months later, I sat in my newly decorated nursery and received one last text from David. I understand now what I lost. I hope you and the baby have the life you deserve. I looked around at the peaceful room and the life I had built with my baby inside me, and I smiled. I texted back, we already did. That evening, Sarah brought dinner. As we talked about the future, baby names, work at the hospital, and all the joy ahead, I felt complete. I rested my hand on my growing belly and whispered, we're going to be just fine, little one. And in that moment, I knew we were. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more great stories. Don't forget to tap the notification bell, so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts in the comments, we love hearing from you. See you next time, and take care.